name is Carman F. Rhoades, commonly known as Dusty, which is an easy thing for people to remember. I was born in Nebraska. My dad was trying to farm back there, and fortunately, he went broke in 1926 when I was about 8 years old, and sold out what he had and took us out to Washington in a Model T Ford. There were 3 kids and 2, my mother and father. So we were completely broke before the Depression. So everything's been up since then. No problems at all. Didn't have much to eat, didn't have a car when I was growing up, but you know, it was no hunger, little town, plenty of food around if all you had to do was go out and pick it up. Then I went to high school, worked for a couple of years, went to college, to a junior college for a couple of years. Started on the University of Washington in my junior year, and the draft was breathing down our necks, and I saw a sign in the activity center, join the Air Corps, make $75 a month. My God, I was studying accounting, and if I'd finished accounting, you'd go to work for $125, so I thought $75 a month and food was a lot of money. And then, this was in the fall of 1940, so if we washed out, all we did was go back to civilian life anyway. And they also had a program at that time that Elmer probably remembers. You got $500 a year bonus for every year of active duty. So, how could a guy pass an opportunity like that? Anyway, I made it through, went through pilot training, made it, graduated in September of 1941. Was in the second class at an advanced flying school.
Where was that
at Luke Field. And they kept about 3/4 of the class as instructors because the field was being built and expanded. So I stayed there until 1944, and unfortunately I went overseas as a replacement pilot as a captain, and which you don't really fit very good, which had nothing to do with my bad experience. So I flew 23 missions, and on my 23rd mission I had an accident with a collision with another P-47, ended up in prison camp, and
well, tell us about this collision now.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. It was just a dumb thing, you know, but there were a lot of collisions, but unfortunately I was involved with this one. So we were just doing maneuvers, you know, and we were on an escort mission, so there was no reason for it. So we ended up in prison camp, and I'm thankful to be here, and I'm thankful for all the guys in barrack and block in room 9, because I wasn't in that room. But they were kind enough to invite me. So then I got out of service.
Well, tell us a little more about that. What happened when you were in Barth there, in that room, in that prison camp?
Well,
how were you interrogated?
I was in luxury because I was a barracks commander. Yeah. And because I'd been in for a long time, not because of any particular skill or knowledge. So I was in a 2-man room, which was about as good as a guy could be in that camp. And I was in there with another captain, Willis T. Jones, who was a real nice guy, and we got along fine. So we were so much better off than most prisoners that were in rooms that had up to 20 people in them. And when the Russians came in and liberated us, I obeyed orders and stayed where I was, and we were sent to. They flew 17s in and took us to a holdings station and shipped us home. And I went back to where I started, back at Luke Field, because I had a wife and baby waiting for me there. And tried to stay in, applied for a regular commission, and really didn't have any qualifications for getting it. And there were thousands of guys that had a lot more experience and capability than I did. So finally I decided to get out, and I got out in late 1945. No trade, no nothing. So I decided to buy a lot, and I built a house with my hands, which was probably the dumbest thing I did. And then looked for a job and went to work in an office. Ended up being a salesman for this wholesale liquor company. Worked at that for 9 years, I guess, and then bought part of a liquor store with a partner and was in it for 20 years. And finally sold out and dabbled in real estate for another 20 years. And that brings us up to date.
Where was this happen now? What?
Oh, I'm sorry, this was in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
In Phoenix, yeah.
Say, going back to your prison camp, what happened during the day when you were in prison camp there? What was a typical day like in prison in Barth there?
Well, it seemed like you kept occupied. I don't know, making things, making pots and pans. That's all I can remember. Carving little stuff, playing catch, watching baseball, and
What did you?
playing a lot of. We played a lot of cards. We played bridge and poker.
You were saying you were commander of a barracks?
Yes.
How many people did that involve, and what did
Well,
you do
the
in that
barracks
job?
had, I guess, didn't it have about 200 people in it? I think so.
Well, it was 10 rooms, see,
Yeah,
and normally there maybe be
20
22
people to a
room or
room.
so.
It would be around 200.
200.
And it could have varied toward the end of the war. As the war escalated, there were more people coming in, and they
Oh,
couldn't
sure.
build. I doubt if they could build barracks fast enough.
Oh.
So you guys, I think some rooms had 22, didn't they, or something
Yes,
like
it went
that?
24 or 25.
24, 25, yes. I don't know how they stacked. I don't know how you slept, but
Yeah. Well, they stacked three. Some places, they use the shelf system,
yes,
where you put the three shelves,
yeah,
then you put 8 men in the shelf
yes.
along the wall.
I thought maybe you had the hot bed system where one guy slept for 8 hours and got up and another one took the bunk, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah, no.
But
Tell us about the food now. Where were you captured?
where was I captured?
Yeah, what happened then?
Well, I was captured almost immediately. As I came down, and landed, I could hear voices, and they'd seen me coming down. It was in an occupied area or a farm area. It was in a forested area, but the trees were very sparse. And I hid my parachute, and then I ran into a farmer with a gun. So I couldn't remember the German word for "I give up." Was it Kamerad or something like that?
I don't know.
I don't know. So anyway, so then they took us to a military station of some kind. I don't know what it was, and they had a doctor there, and there wasn't anything wrong with me. So then they put us in the cell, and they had a few other military people there. And then they sent us to Frankfurt to a
Interrogation center.
interrogation center. And then they put us on a plane after we were there for a week, I guess, or something like 4 or 5 days. I don't remember how long. And then they put us on a train and we went to Barth.
Remember what happened when you got to Barth?
No, I sure don't.
No.
I don't remember anything like
No.
that, except that I remember having my picture taken and being processed, but
Sure.
don't remember any details.
What about the other members of your squadron?
Well, the other guy that I collided with got out. I saw him, but I never did see him again. I don't know where he got sent. So I don't know anything
What
about
plane
it.
were you flying?
I was flying a P-47.
Okay, so.
From where?
From England. Ipswich was our base. Martlesham Heath Airport.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about the young men today as compared to the young men, 60 years ago?
Well, I don't think it's so much different. We were probably as strange to our forefathers as they are to us, and 90% of them were really nice people and good and do well, and there's some that don't, and it's been that way forever, I think. I don't think people are much worse. I just don't like the example that's set by television and the movies. I think it makes young people think that violence and profanity and things like that are normal. I'd like to see a lot less of that, but I'm sure our forefathers didn't like us going to cowboy movies and seeing people shot either.
Now, what about your children now?
Oh, I have two children. One of them's in California, and I'm going to go see him. He works in social services. My daughter is older, and she lives in Denver. She was a teacher, and she was married to a teacher. He's retired now, and she sells real estate. They have two children, and I'm just about to have my first great-grandchild in about a month. Yeah. And my son has, her two children are both graduated from college and are professional people. And
You had mentioned about some things you want to do in the future.
What do I want to do in the
your
future?
wife passed away. If you could just
Well,
mention that.
I've been married twice, and the mother of my children died. We were married for 30 years, and then I married again, and we were married for 26. And I shouldn't have a future. I shouldn't really think about the future, I guess, because as old as I am,
How old are you now?
82. Well, I'll be
79.
82 and pretty soon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, but there's a lot of things that I'd like to do once.
Well, you mentioned that a while ago, that you'd like, certain things you'd like to do.
Yeah, I'd like to jump out of an airplane. I'd like to take a glider ride. I'd like to take a balloon ride. I'd like to go water rafting. What else? I don't
Where
know.
do you live now?
I live in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Well, I don't live in Phoenix. I live on outskirts of Scottsdale. It's a fairly new planned community called Fountain Hills.
In Phoenix.
It's about 25 years old, and it's out of Phoenix. It's it's got 17 or 18,000 people. It's pretty much a bedroom community, and it's a nice place.
And you have a house there, apartment? Or?
I have a house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you live alone now then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any special hobbies that you are engaged in?
Not really. I like to play golf, and I have a trailer in the mountains about 3 hours away that my wife and I used to go to in the summertime and get out of that heat, and I will use that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the future's going to bring.
How has the VA and the government treated you since the war, World War II?
Well, I haven't had any experience with it. I'm extremely healthy for my age,
Yeah.
and I don't have anything wrong with me. I went through the VA POW indoctrination program or
Yeah,
something.
special health
What
program.
they call it, yeah, to go on record.
Yeah.
Not because there was anything wrong with me,
No.
but just to be on record. And I told my wife if something happened, I wanted her to dump me on the front porch of the VA. Because she was younger than I was, and I didn't want her to have to take care of me when I was old. So, and the VA in Phoenix has a very nice retirement rest home
In conjunction with the hospital or something?
right next to the hospital. And you can stay there it's partly federally and state subsidized, so you can stay there a lot cheaper than you can in a rest home. Real nice.
Yeah.
But that, I don't really know anything else.
No. What, if you were going to live your life over again, what would you do differently, or?
Well, under the circumstances, probably nothing.
No.
And that's kind of silly, but, I don't believe in predestination. I think that you fall into certain paths, and you do the best you can.
Sure. Well, that's a common answer I got from a lot of most prisoners of war.
Yes.
They say they probably do the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not because that's the way life is.
Well, I would have, if I had planned my life, I'd have done things that were
Oh, sure.
more useful to people.
Yeah.
And I think most everybody feels that way.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And in the future, that's one thing I really should do, you know, I should do more volunteer work and help people.
Yeah.
But being a selfish person, I'll probably just travel like I'm doing and
Get along with people, you don't
get
fight
along,
them?
yeah, enjoy myself personally and try not to be a bad guy,
No.
but
What, could you just mention being up here with Lyle inviting you up to this place? Could
Oh,
you just mention that?
I'm very thankful to the roommates that included me,
Yeah.
because I really, you know, the roommates that were in the room lived in each other's laps for all these time, and it's a different thing, you know. You
Yeah.
just they were closer together. I know. I was just the guy that stood in front of the formation when we when we fell in the morning. So I'm very thankful to be included.
Well, thanks an awful lot. I think that was very, very nice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The chestnut trees, the wishing well, I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be